Hi, this is Sean, and today we're going to look at the relationship between two important chords. Chord number 1 in the scale and chord number 3 in the scale. C major 7 in this case, E minor 7th. And we're going to look at it on 3 different levels. So we'll begin with level 1. What is it? How do you find it? What's it all about? Level 2, we'll see them in tunes and look at creative uses. And then level 3, we'll look at advanced substitutions as well. So let's talk about level 1. Chords 1 and 3. Just talking about going up a scale in chords and giving each chord a number. Okay, so chord number 1, chord number 3 share so many notes that they can play in place of each other. If you take a simple progression like this, 1, 6, 2, 5, C major 7, A minor 7, D minor 7 to G7. We'll often put the 3 in place of the 1. So you can see on the next line, we've made it E minor 7 to A minor 7, D minor 7, G7. In other words, 3, 6, 2, 5. So it just gives us a bit more variety. And we do this on tunes all the time, whether it's written or not. If it's written in, okay, now we understand what's happening. And when we progress into improvisation and voicings and all this other stuff, we know that we can treat those two things the same. We don't have to start switching our scales for improvisation because 1 and 3 mean the same thing. Whereas a lot of chord scale improvisation theories will have you doing something every time you see an E minor 7th chord, regardless of its context, where actually what works better for me is to say, well, it's the same as C major, so play C major stuff over C major and over an E minor 7, if it's in the key of C, the relationship between 1 and 3. Okay, let's move on to level 2 stuff, spotting them in tunes and using them more creatively. Let's take Falling in Love with Love. Notice in the second bar we've gone E minor to A7 and then back to D minor 7, G7. So all that's going on here really is this means 1, obviously C major 7. We're just breaking up that 1 with a 3, which means the same thing. And then we've got an A7, chord number 6, and then we've got a 2, 5. So functionally all this means 1, the C major 7 and the E minor 7. Then we've got a 6, 2, 5, which is basically the progression we had earlier, 1, 6, 2, 5, one of the most simple and commonly used progressions we have in jazz. That means that when you're looking at different lead sheets, sometimes people won't even use a 3. Sometimes they'll use a 3 in place of the 1. It doesn't matter that much. It's all just different flavors of the same function. And when you want to use them creatively, what you can do, let's say there's a turnaround at the end of the song. Turnaround is really the last few bars here, for example. We would put in, if we want to go back into improvisation, something like a 1, 6, 2, 5. So if I take these last few bars, those bars, G7, that's the end. But I'm going to put a 1, 6, 2, 5. 6, 2, 5. So it fills that time up and it tells us we're going back somewhere. This time I'll put in a 3, 6, 2, 5 just for variety. Of course I improvised over it, but you can hear that it gives us the feeling that something else is about to happen and gives us a different shape. So that's using them creatively where there was nothing written in that case, but most of the time we'd say, well, let's put a 1, 6, 2, 5 there or something like that. So that was a creative use where nothing was written there in the first place, but we would want to put in a turnaround. So if we look further back, for example, because this is really the last head, right, I have a 1, 6, 2, 5 on this because this is a smart tune that I use that has a track on it underneath it, but I could certainly make that 3, 6, 2, 5. Okay, let's see how to find this in another key. Let's take this in the key of F. Okay, so in F, Chord number 1 is F major 7. Chord number 3 is A minor 7. There's a simple 1-6-2-5 in F, but keep in mind that 6 is often turned into a dominant chord like D7. It doesn't have to be D minor 7. That's for another day. We'll talk about those maybe another time. And the 3-6-2-5 version would be like that, the A minor 7 in place of the F. If we take a tune like The Nearness of You, key of F, let's see what happens in the second line. In fact, I'll play those first 8 bars so we get a feel for it. Here's a 1-6-2-5, F, D7, G minor, C7. Etc. So that is the exact progression we've been talking about. 1-6-2-5 in F, even though the 6 is a D7, not a D minor 7, remember that's okay. And then it's switched to a 3, just for variety. Perfect example. Now, if one lead sheet has those the other way around, it doesn't mean one of them is right and one of them is wrong. If the bass player you're playing with puts a 3 where you expected a 1 or vice versa, that normally works out as well. So this is describing the openness of jazz and feeling it as you go to a certain extent. On level 3, we're going to look at how to use these in advanced substitutions and also how to spot them in tunes. Here's a creative substitution that I've seen before on a simple tune like I Should Care that begins on 2-5-1. But as you can see, people use the 3 chord. This is just a Google image search, so apologies for the quality. But what I could do is say, okay, let me use the 2-5 that goes to that 3, seeing as 1 and 3 have this relationship. We're seeing both relationships here. We're seeing a 2-5 that should go to 1, but actually goes to 3. That's 2-5-1, but it goes to 3. In which case, maybe we put the 2-5 that should go to 3 in the first bar, which is F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B7 to E minor. You'll hear that sort of change a lot. I wouldn't do it right at the beginning. I know some people do. I may do something like that right at the end rather than causing too much shock and distress right at the top. You could do that on a tune like Over the Rainbow. Here's the last A section. So we're landing on E minor 7 on the second bar. So maybe we go 2-5-2 E minor, which is F sharp minor 7 flat 5, B7. I've got another video on that that's linked below. And you get a completely different thing. So these are ways to substitute. And you'll see that written in on some tunes anyway. So here's an example where you do get the 2-5 to 3, you do get this F sharp minor 7 flat 5 to B7, but this is it could happen to you, but it goes to C. So a progression that should go to 3 can go to 1 and vice versa. I've put this in C so more people can understand it. Then the D minor, the 2-5 that should go to 3 but actually goes to 1. That happens in a few tunes. I Remember You is another one. The 2-5 to 3 but goes back to 1. Okay, so I hope that gives you plenty to go on. 1 and 3 mean the same thing. You can spot them in tunes to understand the language better. You can use them creatively when they're not written. And you can use 2-5s that go to 1 to get to 3, or 2-5s that go to 3 to get back to 1. Hope that helps, and if you like this, then consider joining Jazz Skills, where I've got lots more of the same. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.